Hello once again, and welcome to Mid-Missouri Art News, coming to you from the capital city of Missouri, Jefferson City, Missouri. Today, I have two special guests. I'm your host, Rick Jey, with Fourth Quarters Art House. Suzanne Luther, the founder of such. Suzanne, beg your pardon, is from Jefferson City, Missouri. And our second guest today is Mr. Lester Perkins. Most of you have known Lester for a few years, or at least have seen his artwork at some location throughout the state of Missouri. Both play a major role in the art scene in Missouri, or will soon be playing a major role in the art community and around the state. I first would like you to join me in welcoming artist and promoter Suzanne Luther of Jefferson City, Missouri. Suzanne, please tell us a little bit about those highlights of your life that best describe Suzanne.
Well, I guess if we're going to start from the beginning, I was born and raised here in Jefferson City, graduated from Jefferson City Public Schools in 1979, went on to University of Missouri and have a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, went on to teach art and then gifted, and I retired from teaching in 2014.
Excellent, that's quite a background. Now you have family. This is a great time to say hi.
Okay.
Point out.
My daughter Adrienne is she'll finish up at University of Missouri in Columbia next December. My son James is just leaving Columbia College, where he had a good 2 years, and he's headed to Springfield.
Oh, that's excellent. Greetings to both of those, and it sounds like they're on the right track. A little guidance there maybe, and what have you.
What's a mom supposed to do?
Well, yes. Well, Miss Luther, can you share with us when or how you were first inspired to become, well, first an artist, and what has led you into the new venture, what is called Four Quarters Art House, which is a service hopefully for art, service, the businesses, and the community.
Those are the four quarters. I guess what led up to that, I've always had an interest in art, and I think I took every single art class that was offered at the high school, and then did get my Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, and then soon was certified to teach in art. And I enjoyed all of that, but it didn't, I don't know, it just didn't seem to be what I really wanted to do. And I don't know, I'm sure other people can identify with this, where you know there's something you need to be doing that's a little different, a little more meaningful, but you don't quite know what it is. And I had that feeling nagging at first, and then it became a little more intense. And then when I retired, I started looking, kind of exploring different areas to clarify what it was I was supposed to be doing. And the Four Quarters Art House is kind of the what that has crystallized into.
I see, yes, you have that gnawing feeling that something is missing, is part of you, and you have to find that little niche in your life, or niche in your life that is missing, and so it sounds like you're on the right path. Well, I would like to now talk about Four Quarters and that structure, and what the mission statement is, the foundation of the Four Quarters Art House in Columbia, Missouri.
Well, it's actually Jefferson City, Missouri.
Jefferson City, okay.
And that's important because I think it's important to understand how much creativity is in Jefferson City, in
Yes,
Cole
ma'am.
County. And I also feel that creativity is the solution to a lot of issues that sometimes we just give up on because we don't see a solution that's immediate. So sometimes I think it's easy to assume there isn't a solution.
Right.
And I feel that there's always a solution, and the best way to get to that is to enlist the creatives in the community. And the problem that I felt needed to be addressed is homelessness, especially with children.
I see.
And that was what I wanted to address somehow in a way that was effective. And I noticed there are 3 nonprofits in our community that do that very well, and that's Halo and Common Ground
Right.
and Central Missouri Foster Care Adoption Association.
Yes, uh-huh.
Those entities all do such an amazing job. But I thought, what if you could bring in the creatives and do something in the business world that would channel more money into those nonprofits that are already addressing this problem and making a difference. And that's kind of where the idea of Four Quarters Art House came into being, and where I took it from there.
I see. So basically you're attempting to channel funds into these already established foundations
Nonprofits.
through your creativeness of different individuals, through the arts, the way I understand it. And what better way through music or through art or through what have you, as you identify probably better now than I could.
Well, I think, and that's still, and I've come across this too, as well, how does that make sense? And I think the organization is a social enterprise, so we're dealing with a business. Four Quarters Art House is a business.
I see.
And in my business, we being the artist in the community, take a building or buildings that aren't maybe contributing to the community, and then we work together to remodel it.
I see.
And then based on the zoning, that's how it will be used commercially. That profit that we get from the commercial use, we then channel part of that back into those entities that I just mentioned that are addressing homelessness. And that's kind of hard, I think, just like hearing it, it almost needs a visual,
Yes.
which I do provide on my social media. But
Yes, we will give that to social media in a moment. So we are looking at, for the homeless in Jefferson City, a new program that is just now in the foundation status, work in process, that you can be a part of and help grow. Now, just to formalize it somewhat more, can you share with us where the development of the Four Quarters Art House stands today, May 16th, 2018, and what the next planned phase might be?
right now, we own one building, and that one happens to be zoned bed and breakfast. It is also close to the Katy Trail, so it will be run as a bed and breakfast. The demographic will be bicyclists off the Katy Trail.
Excellent.
And then where the artists come into play are we will have artists that are actually helping with the remodel. We'll have murals on the inside walls. We will have furniture that is designed by artists. We'll have lighting that is designed by artists. We will have works of art from artists hanging inside, but business-wise, it will be run as a bed and breakfast.
Excellent.
So profits from those bed and breakfast funds will then be shared with those 3 nonprofits that address homelessness.
Super, great idea. So I know a lot of people do travel the Katy Trail, and so now you have a bed and breakfast in the plans. That's really going to help the community in so many instances. So that's a great idea. And I want to let everyone know that Jefferson City Art Club is behind this program also. Suzanne was a guest speaker at one of our meetings, and give us the inspiration, me personally, to have her here on the show of a great foundation in the beginning here that's going to be a big help to our homeless people and other causes, what have you, wherever they lie. Well, I guess I should say you've pretty well explained the name Four Quarters somewhat, but basically the four quarters, if you split it into fours, is, again,
Their art, which we've talked the most about, because I believe that for this to work, it also promotes and helps the artist. I think the artists in this community should collaborate, they should be paid well, and their efforts then go back into helping homelessness, the situation, especially with children. Another component is business, because we are a business. We are becoming part of this area business community, because we are taking a building that wasn't contributing and now it's contributing, and then service, because we are contributing to the nonprofits and providing a service.
yes.
So those are the four quarters.
So we have covered it. And you also have musicians, instrument.
Other artists, yes.
Other
We have
artists. So
visual artists
it's
and we
just
have
not
music.
Arts in the sense of brush and pen, what have you, but also like Spotlight on the Arts. Most of you follow that program. We do interview different ones of different categories within the art field, I guess you could say. Well, for those interested in learning more about Four Quarters Art House or to offer their support, can you please give us your website address, telephone number, what have you, where our viewers could contact you?
Okay, the best way would be our website, which is just F-O-U-R, quarters, arthouse.com, or we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and then you could communicate that way. We also have a newsletter that goes out once or twice a month, which is a good way to stay informed.
Excellent. Super. Well, Mr. Luther, on behalf of the JCTV Mid-Missouri Art News and me personally, Rick Jey, I want to thank you for sharing with us here today. And we wish you success, and we'll be following your story and hopefully have you back here with more to report on Mid-Missouri Art News.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Well, after the break, as promised, we meet artist Lester Perkins, who will surely inspire you to look deeper into his commitment to the world of arts in the Jefferson City area and throughout the state of Missouri. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
There is also a very attractive extended warranty option that includes free service and parts for the next 5 years. But there's no need for you to get that. You failed to get the test you needed at the doctor that would have detected disease early enough where it could have been treated. So you won't be around in 2 years to see him grow up, which means the warranty would be useless. Okay, sign here, please.
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.gov.
Laughing Baby, brought to you by Children's Trust Fund of Missouri. Strong families, safe kids.
So here are the keys.
Congratulations, it's officially yours. I'm sure you'll have many happy years here.
Except for you, because you'll be gone 3 years from now, struck down by the same disease that got your father. So you won't be around for them. And sadly, it could have been detected early with a simple test, but you didn't have it. Okay, who wants to check out the backyard?
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.gov.
By purchasing a Children's Trust Fund license plate, you're helping to prevent child abuse and neglect in Missouri. Show your hands and get your license to care. Children's Trust Fund. Strong families. Safe kids. Being a parent can be challenging. During stressful times, stay calm and take deep breaths to relax before handling hectic situations. When stress heats up, keep your cool. Parent with patience. Children's Trust Fund of Missouri. Strong families. Safe kids.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mid-Missouri Art News. I'm your host, Rick Jey, and as promised, I have a very special guest with me now by the name of Mr. Lester Perkins from Jefferson City, Missouri. He's been around a while, and his art is known all over the state of Missouri and maybe a few other states also. So please join me, if you will, in welcoming Mr. Lester Perkins. It's great to have you with us. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, Lester.
Well, thank you, Rick, for having me here. I'm delighted.
Yes, I know you come across so well, so I know we're going to enjoy the interview. Well, if I may call you by your first name, Lester, it seems like I have for the last few years. You know, 14 minutes is not a lot of time to get everything in, so most likely we'd like to have you back to talk more extensively in the future if you don't get too scared sitting with me today. Well, if you would, I'd like to know what really makes up your art world, but we'll try first to cover the highlights of your life's experiences and by telling us a little bit about Mr. Lester Perkins, if you would.
Well, that's a little hard to do, but I was born in Columbia, Missouri. In 1932, and except for a few years, I've always lived in the mid-Missouri area.
I see.
And my parents were like a lot of other people back in the 30s and 40s.
Yes, the Depression.
We were, according to today's standards, we were considered very poor.
I'll bet.
So our father moved us around a lot. He moved us. And because of that, my schooling and education was pretty scattered out. I attended school and started out in Columbia, Missouri, attending a one-room school.
Oh, wow.
And then he moved us to Kansas City, and then we moved back to Roachport.
Roachport, I see.
And we lived in Roachport I attended 7th grade in Roachport, and then we moved back to Kansas City.
I see.
Actually, Kansas City, Kansas.
Kansas City, Kansas.
And I've attended 2 other schools up there in Kansas City, so altogether I've attended probably 6 or 7 different schools.
I see.
And until I came back to Roachport, and I started New Franklin School. New Franklin, Missouri.
Yes.
And that's when I decided I was ready to quit school, and so I dropped out of the school.
You dropped out of school?
Oh yeah, I dropped out of school.
Which was not uncommon back in those days, right?
I've been sorry several times, but I did. I dropped out in my 10th year of school.
Well, your artwork speaks well for some education there, the natural instinct from the heart, what have you. Now, someplace along the line, you met a young lady, Miss Lola.
Yes. I remember I married my sweetheart in 1951.
I see.
And that was in Roachport, Missouri, where we lived at the time. My father eventually moved us back to Roachport. And that's where he settled down. He built what we called a slab cabin.
Oh, wow.
For us to live in.
Just a slab with
on some property he didn't even own, but you know, nobody objected.
Oh yes, well you know, that's why I wanted to have you with us today on Mid-Missouri Art News, to take people back to how things were back in those days when it was tough. Even my parents and grandparents coming up, you know, back in the Depression days. But you're here with us not only as a representative of those times and your life, but also your artwork, which shows a lot of that in your artwork, you know, your foundation. So,
Yeah.
Well, can you share with us when and how you were first inspired to become an artist, and what inspires you still today at age 86 to keep moving that brush?
Well, I suppose I've always been interested in art to some extent, because I remember when I was in grade school,
Yes.
I was always excited when I was asked to participate in an art project.
Yes.
And so it goes back quite a ways, you know. My first piece of art, I'm sorry, I got a lot of allergies.
I understand. So your first piece of art, do you know?
Yeah,
remember the name?
my first piece of art was created in Roachport, Missouri, while I was living in that slab cabin. I found I'd have to refresh my memory here. I'm not as young as I used to be.
I understand.
I remember in 1950, I decided to try creating my first masterpiece.
Oh, wow. A masterpiece.
So
Well, that was a big challenge.
I found a piece of sheetrock my dad had been working with, and he had a big piece left over. And I found an old calendar with a picture on it. I copied the picture to the sheetrock.
Superb.
Found a brush and some paint of some kind, and put a little color to it, and then built me a frame out of some junk scrap lumber.
Wow. So
Well, no masterpiece emerged.
No
but
masterpiece.
No, but it did start me out
It did start
on
you
my
out. Well,
art
you did.
career, and
You took off a big bite there to try to create a masterpiece, but I'll bet even at that basis some of your basic talents had shown. And you know a lot of people start out drawing stick people. You was going for a masterpiece, so that's commendable.
Well, you know, I don't know what made me think it was going to be a masterpiece, but it didn't turn out that way.
I see.
But
Well, can you describe?
I figured I was going to need a few more, a little better materials to work with, so I began to purchase a few materials.
I see.
You know, canvas and
Brushes.
paint and brushes and stuff. I didn't have any instructions, no any art instruction of any kind, so I was very much of a beginner.
So you had to learn by just doing. And
Yeah, I just learned by none. But after all these years, I've learned a few things. The first painting, one of the paintings I did was the painting of a street scene right there in Roachport, and it's hanging in a museum in Roachport. A little museum they got there.
Museum, yes, in Roachport. Now your artwork is all over the state, at different places, so people recognize your artwork and the name Lester Perkins. And one of my favorite exhibitions that you show continually is at Mel's Diner here in Jefferson City, and so they can see drawing the older type buildings that you grew up with and have lived with in the past 40, 50 years that are typical of your artwork. But then you turn to your animals and your birds, and landscapes are just very well done. What would you say would be some of your favorite completed projects?
Well, I have a number of favorites, and I think I brought along some pictures of some of them.
Those are going to be displayed as well.
And
So go ahead.
I did a painting of one my wife titled for me. She titled it "The Pipes."
The pipes.
Yeah, it wasn't anything to do with pipes, but they looked like pipes to her. So she said, I asked her what she would title it, and she said "The Pipes."
Right.
So there we are.
And she's 3 days older than you, so at times you have to kind of listen to her.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, so I thought, well, it'd be good to name one painting as sheep titles.
Oh, sure.
And then I did another painting of a street looking down Jefferson Street in Jefferson City, Missouri.
Yes.
And that one, I had to pull some buttons off because it got three awards the same show.
Oh my!
It got first place, best of show, and People's Choice, all in that same show.
Well, that was definitely.
And that being, I was still an amateur, so
I see.
that was quite an honor for somebody that was an amateur.
Yes. And I've also seen your works, I believe, at the Sedalia State Fair and different banks in the area.
Yeah, another painting I did was a fairly recent painting. It was of the Challenger that was coming into Jefferson City, the old steam engine.
Yes.
And I did a painting of that, and I've got a large painting that's actually it's 24 by 64 inches. It's large, and I have it hanging in my house at home.
Well, Lester, I want to thank you for being part of the JCTV Mid-Missouri Art News Call to Nature's Art with the Department of Conservation runs Nature and Conservation Center. You have 2 pieces there, and I want to thank you again for displaying. We will have the meet and greet this coming Saturday, May 19th. And so we look forward to you being there. I'll be there to meet the people as you come in. Mm-hmm. So you'll get a chance to actually meet Lester and wife Lola on the 19th of May between 10 and 2. Well, your artwork appears many places throughout Missouri. I love your pieces, like say at Mel's Diner. Do you have a website or an email address or phone number you'd like to share with the viewers that could reach you if they're interested?
I have 2 phone numbers I could give. The first one is 896-5313, and the other one is 619-5682, and they're both local, numbers.
That's area code 573.
619-5682.
Okay, all right. Super, thank you.
And my present email address at the present time is Lester M. Perkins at mchsi.com.
Yes. Now, those will be on the screen as you spoke and when we come out of the editing room.
Yeah, now that email address may change because I have an old computer.
I see.
And I think I've been forced to update to a new computer, so I'm going to,
okay.
I don't know whether the email address will stay the same or not.
Well, they can call and check. If they can't get through an email, they can call. Well, Mr. Perkins, on behalf of JCTV, Mid-Missouri Art News, and, which is attempting to bring together all art lovers of the communities and the enthusiasts also in the state of Missouri, and the surrounding states for that matter, with this program. I want to thank you so much for contributing to Mid-Missouri Art News, making it an informational experience and learning experiences for us all. So I want to thank you, sir, again, for being here.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you too, Rick, for giving me this honor. It's been my pleasure.
Well, thank you. You did well. Well, next featured guest here on Mid-Missouri Art News are artist Susan Rogers of Jefferson City, Missouri, and Gary Cadwallader of Sedalia area of Missouri. That taping is scheduled for June 13th here, 2018. And then next on Spotlight on the Arts, we have invited artist Ron Ferkel back from Washington, Missouri. Ron will be sharing some more of his fantastic paintings, art pieces, and art secrets with us. That taping is scheduled for July 11th, 2018. And thank you, JCTV producer Glory Enlow and crew up in the booth. I thank you for always being there and editing and making the shows possible for YouTube, etc. And I want to thank you, our viewers, once again, for being dedicated to the show and following us. Look for more Mid-Missouri Art News right here on JCTV. And don't forget YouTube. I'm Rick Jey saying, see you next time.